Hi there, my name is Shovat and this is Finance Central. In this video, I talk about the importance of an emergency fund and ways to calculate how much you need to save. I also touch upon what you might use an emergency fund for, basically the possible emergencies. What is an emergency fund? It is money you set aside for when you have an emergency and need to access your money real quick. Your money needs to be in the most liquid state. You could keep it in cash, but that might not be the best. If you end up saving a sizable fund and not needing to use it for years, it will lose some of its value due to inflation. Also, if you ever get robbed at your home, it might be the most valuable thing to lose. Maybe a small percentage of it can be kept as cash, but definitely not all of it. Investing this money in the stock market also might not be such a good idea, as you have no control over where the markets will be any given day, and your emergency might occur on the exact same day as the stock market is also going through a rough patch. The best solution is to use a high-yield savings account. This account will try to keep up with inflation, and there is no downside risk to your money. If you're currently trying to get out of a credit card debt, which normally would be where you are paying anywhere from 10 to 30% or even more in interest, you should try to pay that off first before you start saving for an emergency fund. When you are free of any of your high interest debt, start with building the fund up to 1 month's worth of necessary expenses. Then slowly expand it to 3, then 6 months worth. If your income allows it, try to build it up to 1 year's worth of necessary expenses. A link to the calculator Excel file is in the description below, which I'll use to show you how you can calculate how much you need to save for an emergency fund. When might you need to dip into your emergency fund? You might need it if you or someone in your family is having a medical emergency. It could be to pay a hospital bill or purchase medical supplies. It might happen that some major appliance in your home breaks down and you need to repair it right away. Similarly, your car could have some problems when you least expect them. There might be a situation where you have to book emergency travel to go help out a friend or a family member in a different part of the country or a different part of the world. This travel will not be cheap, and you may not have planned for it. Maybe you have children and one of them might get in some sort of trouble and you might have to fix it. There are many other things that can go wrong and are essential to be fixed, which can cost money on top of the expenses you have accounted for in your budget. On the other hand, there might be situations when you lose your income. You want to have some money saved up just to pay your rent or mortgage, regular bills, insurance, etc. A study done in 2019 by the Federal Reserve System found that only 60% of Americans can come up with $400 in an emergency. Many people say that they would defer their monthly bills to take care of this emergency. Another option would be to take on a personal loan at a high interest rate. But as we have seen in previous videos, that you would be digging yourself a hole as compound interest works against you. If you were to lose your job and your source of income, in order to find a steady income again, it might take on average 5 months. We are lucky to live in times when we can pick up the odd gig economy jobs like working for Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart, etc. to build a bridge between those steady full-time jobs. If you were in a position where you own some real estate, then Airbnb and VRBO can be options that make some money to take care of your payments. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. This is especially true in case of planning to build an emergency fund. We've made some assumptions in our retirement calculator that we keep saving money each month of our working life. We may come up against such emergencies, and some months we cannot put as much money as planned away for retirement, hence pushing our retirement age away from ideal. This is why it is necessary to learn to live within our means, and in reality, way within our means. If you can find ways to boost your income and live on less than 40% of your take-home pay, you will be able to build that 9 to 12 month emergency fund within a year, and all the while not detracting from your retirement plan. Do this when you're younger and healthier, with probably less responsibilities, when you can put in more time and effort to build this sort of emergency fund. As you get older and have a family, your expenses might increase, but so will your income, and it will be easier to add to your fund than to start from scratch. If you are in a position to save up more for your emergency fund, you should definitely strive to do that. This will offer protection when things go downhill and you are least expecting it. Also, we see things cascade. When the economy goes into a recession, and if you lose your job, it may take even longer to get a new job. If your employer was paying for your health insurance, now you are on the hook for that. In this time period, if you suddenly have a leak in the roof of your house, it cannot be put off for long, and you will have to pay a contractor to get it fixed. If you have never needed to use an emergency fund, trust me, life is long and everyone will go through such times, and you will have to keep rebuilding your emergency fund after you use it. When I got my first car, right after I got my first full-time job, I was too young to know anything about car maintenance. My car was already 7 years old with 70,000 miles on it. In the first few days at my job, I parked my car right outside the machine shop and had a flat tire from maybe one of the nails that made its way. I was just starting to earn and save money, and now I had a $350 expense as all the tires were close to worn out. A spend that I had not planned for. I had to borrow money from my family to make that payment. Since then, I've learned the importance of an emergency fund in my working life. It has worked well for me so far. If you can think about ways to build up an emergency fund, please comment down below. Now let's take a look at the emergency funds calculator in Excel. What I ask you here first is your gross annual income to the nearest $5,000. Let's say it's about $70,000. Then I ask you the percentage necessary for expenses. Let's say you spend about 40% of it on necessary expenses. Now, how many people are dependent on this income? If you don't have any dependents, just put 0. Or if you have someone who's dependent on you for their expenses, put that number in. That will calculate how much money you need to save for each of 1, 3, 6, 9 or 12 months worth of emergency fund. Just start with $1,000 for your emergency fund and then grow it by these numbers as you go on your journey to save up. Once you get to a 6-month emergency fund, you can slow down your savings and split it between your retirement accounts as well as your emergency fund. Revisit this calculator every year and update your income, dependents, and percent needed for necessary expenses to get new emergency fund values, so you can plan to increase or decrease your contributions toward your emergency fund. Thank you all for your interest in my videos. Please share this with your friends and family who want to learn more about personal finance and help me grow a community. That's it from me now. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and have a wonderful day.